And welcome to the Ratchetdavo podcast. This is episode 4. Today I have a very special guest and a new friend of mine. He's a father, husband, local business owner to the Winder, Georgia area, car enthusiast, and gave me the great opportunity of looking around at his supercar today. Shane, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here, man.
I appreciate you. And just learning and hearing your story today has been, one, just inspiring and motivational, but two, is something that I think I want other people to hear.
Yeah.
And it's just exciting. And one, I just want to thank you for letting me drive your Lamborghini, which is a new toy, correct?
Yep. About 3 weeks old, yeah.
Yeah. And look for a video on that on the Ratchetdavo YouTube channel, as well as the Agape Autosports YouTube channel that we're trying to kick off for you as well. But I know that you were telling me some of your story, but I would love for other people to hear your story and just where you came from and where you are today and how you were able to get there.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable journey, man. It really has. Hearing my story inspires me because I never believed it would be possible. I was an 18-year crack addict. Went to prison 6 times, innumerable arrests, hopeless, lost, homeless. I remember at one point I'd been sleeping in the woods for a couple of days. I done conned the restaurants around so much with, hey, my food was wrong, I need my money back, that they knew my voice, and they'd say, well, you got to bring in what you didn't eat. I remember walking behind Publix and picking up old half-eaten McDonald's food to put in a bag to take back down there to get $5 to get started getting high for the day. People say that God doesn't do miracles like he did in the Bible. I promise you, I'm Lazarus. He took my death robes off. And if you hear a few tears in here, it's still amazing. My heart just overflows that God did what he done in my life. Because I handled the willingness part of it. He handles the results.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a eye-opening experience, and it's just, I know there are people out there that maybe have a similar story or want to get to a cleaner place or a place, because even for myself, and you had a different upbringing than myself, and everybody has their own story, but just being able to, it inspires me, and just seeing the business that you've created and the life that you've created for yourself. And I know that we had talked about this, but it's not you having a supercar and owning your own business is not you putting it in anybody's face saying, hey, you're not, because you're here, you're talking to me, you're not.
Yeah.
Honestly, the appearance that sometimes people think of is that they're a stuck-up person, but they're afraid to approach folks because they think that, oh, you own that, so you must be this way. And it's such a stereotype that I hate, because I was immediately able to approach you. I didn't even know that you owned the Lambo when I first met you, and I walked up to you and you were like, oh yeah, that's mine, and we started talking, and you were like, yeah, absolutely, I want to help you help me, and so on and so forth. And it was so cool just for that stereotype to be broken immediately by you, just almost in a humble approach. It wasn't you saying, yeah, well, that's my Lambo, or anything. You were just like, hey, you want to drive it? You want to take videos? Do you want to look at it? And it's just, I'm just appreciative of it, and I can't say thank you enough.
Yeah, I appreciate you approaching me, man. It's any chance I get to share the blessings God's given me, it's very rewarding. Not on an egotistical level. It's on I'm getting to serve God, because my best decision making got me what I described before, And I tell people all the time, one of our things in recovery is we don't regret our past or wish to shut the door on it, and I don't. I use it today. I'm an open book. I tell people all the time my story, because they need to know, it is possible. I didn't think it was possible. I remember the first time I ever walked into a meeting, I saw all of them staying sober, and I didn't think it would work for me, And I found some hope that first meeting I ever went to, and I had been in rehabs. I had been in here, there, locked up. nothing ever worked. I really came back to the belly of the beast right here in Winder, where I was so messed up, and just started working a daily program to change my life. I did not like the truth about myself, and I found a way that I could do some work on me and give the rest to God and change the truth about myself to one that I'm thankful for and I'm grateful for today.
That's amazing. Now, when did the tattoo artist stuff come into the picture? I was confused on that timeline. I didn't know when that started
Prison.
for you. Really? You did?
Prison, yeah, really.
Okay.
When I was all the years I was strung out, I ran a collection agency. I was a general manager of a mortgage lender. I was a corporate finance director for a chain of car lots and strung out. I did those in between prison stints. Okay. When I was locked up, I started tattooing. My oldest son had gone to some little scratcher and got a tattoo, and it looked horrible. And I said, "Wait for Dad to get home," because I always could draw. I said, "I'm gonna start tattooing and see how I can do at it." And I was my own canvas. I started on my legs, and the first time I put a needle into my skin to tattoo myself, I just felt like that was right. It was a way to create something, and I started expressing all my dark times on my legs, and I sleeved my legs out from my upper thigh all the way to my toes because new stuff would pour out. And it was just kind of like I was releasing those demons and expressing them through art. And then when I started working on my left arm, it started becoming something beautiful. And when I got out, I didn't know what to do. When I got out of prison December 20th of 2011, I didn't have a car, a home, a job, a driver's license, money, nothing. I went and messed up again, and then finally that was my turning point. I had to do something different. My best decision making, my best way of living didn't work. And I didn't know where God wanted me to go, but I knew I didn't want to go back to what I was doing. I didn't want any kind of sales or finance or anything like that. And I took a chance. I walked into a little tattoo shop, used to be in Statham. It was called Blood, Sweat, and Ink. And talked to the owner, and he didn't apprentice people. I said, "But look, I need to sweep floors and clean toilets and learn something, man. I need a new life."
Absolutely.
And he was going to meetings with me. He had gotten a DUI, and he had mandated, so he went. And that went on, and the second week I was there, one of my friends from meetings came in with one of his clients. He was like, "Well, let me see what you can do." So I sketched up a side piece, and she wanted an hourglass with a brassiere and panties hanging from it to represent the women in her life. And I just drew it up and did it on her side. And he said, "You're not an apprentice, you're an artist. Start making us some money." About 6 months later, his addiction kind of overtook him, and I knew I couldn't be around that and stay sober. So I took everything I had saved and stepped on a limb in faith and opened my own shop, so I could control my environment and keep it a positive one. And this is where God's brought me since then. I opened the doors September 1st, 2012, and I used literally every penny I had. Yeah. And a lot of willingness after that.
And now you have a Lamborghini sitting in front of your house. So that's an amazing story of recovery and just turning around and turning everything that you had into something good and something positive. And were you always into cars, or is that something that kind of surfaced after the tattoo business was created?
Well, no, I've always been a car guy. My cars and car stereos. I remember my very first car was an '83 convertible Mustang. And I hadn't, about 6 months after having it, I took it down to Warner Robins, had the back seat taken out, had two 18-inch woofers put back there, and I was sold on vehicles from that point. Yeah. One of the guys that worked for me for quite a few years, he asked me one time, "Have you ever had a normal vehicle?" No, I haven't. No, it went from that Mustang to 79 Bronco on 18 and a half 44 groundhogs.
Fantastic. I love the Broncos.
And then a 5.0 Mustang, and then just all kind of things over the time. It's never just been your average vehicle. I've never. Yeah. That's been an outlet for me. I've loved cars, motorcycles, and trucks. Yeah.
That's something that I've always come back to, regardless of where I go, because I I kind of ventured into the music world as far as like my artistic side went, but I always found myself coming back to cars no matter what avenue I started to take. It always veered back around, and I was always like, I just want to build that car. I just want to do that and that. So it's always something that I feel like it's never left. It's just the core of kind of my passion. I've always loved automotive, ever since I can remember. So that is so cool. But did you ever imagine starting your own business? Like before you started it, was that like a dream of yours to own your own business?
Well, understand the difference between dreams and goals. Yeah, I mean, it was a dream. But a goal is something we can actually take some steps to achieve. And a dream is like, ooh, I want to be a movie star, multi-billionaire,
right.
But yeah, it was a dream that turned into a goal out of necessity. I couldn't stay in the environment I was in when they were using it, and I just had to take that leap of faith, and it all worked out.
Yeah. As someone that I'm very interested in starting my own business, and in some ways the podcast and the YouTube channel is a small avenue of starting your own business, because in some way I'm having to brand up my own name and brand and try to make it into something. But is there any advice that maybe you could give to me as someone that wants to start my own business?
Forget humility, forget pridefulness, forget being shy. When I opened my doors, like I said, I took every penny I had. I was sleeping on the couch, during the day and night until I went home at night. It was 80 hours a week, 7 days a week, the first couple of years by myself.
Yeah.
And but when I go to a store, I'd take a stack of cards. Everybody would get one. I mean, hey, I'm Shane. Oh, I like your tat. Here's my card. Come give us a checkout.
Yeah.
And I just networked and taught the people and just put my heart into whatever I was doing. We're gonna get way more failures than we get achievements. But you're never gonna get a single achievement if you don't try. Yeah. So anything that comes to your mind that's moving in a positive direction, try it.
Absolutely.
Michael Jordan got a whole lot more bricks than he did slam dunks.
Yeah.
But he would have never got a single slam dunk if he hadn't have thrown those bricks.
Yeah, or at least tried to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. That's something I always try to do, and my wife always tells me, because I'm like, I'm just gonna go after it. I'm just gonna try it. I'm just gonna do it, and see where it goes. And that's something that I call it kind of like my. I can't think of the word now, but it's where. It's something that you're passionate you do, and it can be good, but it also can be bad. But it's something where I'm very headstrong, where I start going down this path. I'm like, I might fail, but I'm at least gonna try. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a flaw, but it's still like a good thing.
You got a reservation there a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got a plan B, you're never going to put your whole heart into your plan A. It's just not going to happen. And one thing I've learned in getting clean and sober over the years is half measures avail us nothing. You've got to put your whole heart into it. Now, you can put your whole heart into several different ventures, but you've got to put every bit of you into it. You know? It's just like with your marriage. You can't, and becoming a father, you're not going to be able to put half of your heart into being your father. Now, realistically, you got to put half your time into it, because you've got to work a job, you got to pay the bills and everything. But that baby deserves everything.
I'm a month away from figuring all that out.
Yeah. And there's no manual, and nothing you do is going to be wrong. It's learning. You know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. My wife's a planner. I'm a figure it out as I go person. Yeah. So sometimes that complements, sometimes that clashes, but we always kind of make it work.
You're very kinesthetic. Yeah.
She likes Me too. She likes lists. I don't like lists. Yeah. Here's a list of things. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it.
I even mess up lists when my wife texts me what she wants from Cookout, and I go by, and it's always, stop, pull over and check and make sure it's right. I didn't. No. There's a line behind me. I'm grabbing that stuff. Baby, I'm sorry.
No, I feel like that's kind of the thing that most wives do, is they'll be the ones to check the bag before you leave the drive-through window, where I'm just grab it and go. They're the search through, make sure all the pieces are there. And
Yeah.
sometimes, that works out great because sometimes restaurants forget things. But regardless. But
It's going to be something to eat regardless. So it's going to work out.
I'm a be thankful for what's in front of me and eat whatever I
Exactly.
can get kind of person. So
Me too.
my wife just calls me the human trash can. Whatever's in front of me is what I'm eating, and I'm thankful for it. I'm glad I'm blessed to have food in front of me.
Exactly. My wife asked me, what you want for dinner? Whatever you put on that table, I promise you I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, you have several other vehicles besides the Lamborghini Huracan, which I think the Huracan will probably be my favorite of your collection.
I've I actually worked my way up to that. It started off, I remember when I got started, my first car was it used to be all South pronounced Red Hot Motors. Andy down there took a chance on me and let me finance a Grand Cherokee. And I went from that. I learned a little bit about the weird things they do on vehicles. That's I had one of the 2 years where the cooling fan was hydraulic. It operated off of the power steering pump.
Oh,
It's crazy.
I've seen that. Honda's done
yeah.
that.
So I started learning weird stuff like that the vehicles do, and it got me interested. And I could figure things out, And rather than $1,000 used when you one of those cooling fans, and there was a waiting list for those, the little guy at the shop, he took and blew out the valve. For $50, he saved my truck,
There you go.
But then I traded up, got my first little Mercedes I got from a place in Atlanta, and then I went up and up and up and trading those.
You're brave to get a Mercedes. I'm just saying. I've never owned a Mercedes, but I'm not a huge fan of them. I love the way they look and they sound.
I tell you, in my experience, and I've had 6 of them, they don't break down.
Really?
It's rare that you really have a breakdown.
I guess that's just a myth in the car world where everybody's like, "Ooh, stay away from Mercedes," which I guess they can have an expensive bill at the shop potentially because there's not a whole lot of people that work on Mercedes specifically besides dealerships or German specific car shops. I feel like.
Well, John Eversley here at Revor and Winder, Revor Engineering's handled all of my vehicles since then. He'll even do my Corvette if I ask him to. I'm one of the few people he'll actually touch a domestic. Yeah, but he made all that. He's a big part of why all this is possible. $900 oil changes on a McLaren for $300. Yeah, I'm going to. It makes it a lot more affordable for me.
Yeah. Well, you jumped the gun with that. You had a McLaren, but now you do not.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm muting my computer here. It was making noises, but I lost my mouse. It's all right. But you traded the McLaren and a Tesla for the Huracan. Is that correct?
Yes.
From what I remember.
Yeah, and I had a guy in Atlanta I bought my McLaren from. Screen Star got on my Tesla, and just on a whim, I just stopped by to look, see what he had. 30 minutes later, I'm driving out in a Lamborghini. I remember last year when I went in to look at the McLaren, I had to fill out a credit app before he'd even let me sit in it, much less move it out of the showroom.
Yeah.
This year when I went in, he says, he just immediately, when I asked him, told him what I was looking at, he had him start moving Bentleys and stuff out of the way and pull a Lambo out for Shane. And but what that tells me is it wasn't about my credit so much. He told me, he said, well, I didn't even have my McLaren with me. He sent me home with a Lambo without having the McLaren. Yeah. And I was like, you trust me that much? He said, yeah, we've done business. I've experienced your character. We're good.
That's awesome.
And that means the world. That means more to me than that Lamborghini does, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I have a character today that a guy in Atlanta will just hand me the keys to a Lamborghini and say, oh, we'll come get the McLaren later.
Yeah.
Based on his past experience with
great.
me,
That's awesome.
I come from a place you used to have to hide your wallet if I come in the house. That's where I used to be. So my character is very important to me today.
That's awesome. Having owned the McLaren and the Lamborghini, which are both mid-engine supercars, I think we can say they're supercars. But you've had multiple Corvettes, and would you say you enjoy the Corvettes more because of the rawer driving experience over the flashy supercars in some way?
I enjoy punching a Corvette coming out of the parking lot and let it fishtail a little bit, punching it again and it lining straight up. I enjoy that part of the Corvette.
Yeah.
I love the Corvettes. I was always a 5.0 Mustang guy when I was younger.
But
when
so they were able to get you to come to the dark side. Chevrolet got you.
Yeah, I just kept looking at the lines of the C6. It was the first one that I bought, and then A buddy of mine, Chris Olsen, got him a C5, and I really like the stealth low ride of that.
Well, unlike Mustang, Corvette has really never made a bad model body style of the Corvette.
Yeah, no, they've all been.
But Mustang had a couple years in the 80s where it was a little rough.
Oh, gosh, in the 70s. Did you ever see that boxed car looking thing
2,
they made? Something like that. It was horrible.
Yeah,
like a Vega or something almost.
Mustang kind of, and then now they're doing it again with the Mach-E. I feel like they're diverting away from their roots of what the Mustang should really be. But Corvette has always stuck to, we want a V8 in there. They created the LS platform, which is probably the most popular engine platform to date in the automotive world. Because I even tried to LS swap my 370 before I got rid of it. So even I started to buy into it,
And because I mean, respectively, versus a supercar, an exotic supercar, they're cheap for low money. You can add intense horsepower to them. I mean, they're just they're well built engines.
Absolutely, Corvette has done it right in my opinion. But so manual transmission, or now you're spoiled. I will say I drove the Lamborghini. It's so smooth. It's so nice, but. I enjoy the raw driving experience of a manual, but I also have really enjoyed some of the dual clutch cars that I've driven over the years. So I know that's a hard question, but which do you think you would prefer over
daily driving? Dual clutch, paddle shifters all day long.
Yeah.
For getting out and just want to smoke some tires and have some fun on a drive, I still go with the stick.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to. The raw driving experience is amazing. I think. I still would prefer a manual if I could get it, but now my wife doesn't drive a manual, so we share our vehicles, so really I can't really have my vehicle be a manual, and then if she needs it, she can't really drive it.
That's a funny story. My wife had never driven a manual. She'd been on me to teach her, and we never really had time, but I remember we were going somewhere, and I was in the Z51, the C7, the yellow one I had, and she was on me, but why don't you teach me? I said, okay. So I just pulled in the Banco ZK in Jefferson, and I got out, went to the passenger side. I said, go. And she said, huh? I said, go. I said, okay, I'll teach you as we go. And we got right out on 124, and she just got the knack of it.
Really?
But I tell you, the C7's a whole lot easier for a manual than the C5 was.
Is it more driver friendly?
Absolutely.
Because there are some manual cars that I've driven, one being a Subaru STI, and the other being my 370, actually, that it actually requires some attention to drive manual because the clutch pedal is so, I don't know, weird, and it's demanding, but some cars, like, you can let out the clutch without gas and it'll just go, and some cars, they're very finicky.
Well, C7's very much like that. They're very, very user friendly.
That's awesome.
And smooth. You just always got to remind them, you don't change gears in the middle of a turn, and you don't stop in the middle of an intersection on a 4-lane highway.
Just keep rolling. Whatever you do, keep rolling.
When in doubt, punch it. But yeah, she went from that, and it wasn't any time later. I mean, that C5 I've got is a lot harder to drive. It's got an upgraded clutch. It's got a ton of torque built to the gills with BTR stage 2 cam.
300ZX.
So, but she mastered that too. And the stall on it is drastic, the low. Yeah. But she figured that one out too.
Yeah, that's a little bit more challenging. Definitely. That's awesome. Well, I wish I could have driven the McLaren too, just for the experience of seeing the difference. But I feel like the Huracan was such a smooth driving experience, and I know that we were talking in the car, but even at low RPMs, I was thinking that it was going to be aggressive and you were going to be breaking your neck, but it was just smooth as can be. So I can understand why that can be such a driver-friendly daily driver vehicle.
Yeah, that McLaren, the 12C, man. If you were at a lower RPM in like second gear with the paddles, you're jumping and popping into it. It's just like a bucking horse. It's crazy.
They like full throttle, so they don't like the stop and go. They're definitely not designed for that.
Yeah.
So, are you a truck guy as well? Because I know you have the F350.
I like. If it's going to be a truck, it's got to be jacked up. I mean, it's got to be extreme.
Yeah.
I've got that F350. The guy that I bought it from, he had built it as like a SEMA truck. It's 2616 specialty forged on it with a 40-inch fuel tires, 14-16 lift on it. You know, I mean, he
It's
really
tall.
put his heart into it.
You
Yeah.
can put your Lambo under that truck.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I'd
But
like to see that.
the engine's even been built in it. I mean, upgraded heads, the turbos changed, the downpipes changed. I mean, it's a giant truck that will smoke all 4 tires. You know,
So what you're telling me is every vehicle that you have, it's got to be
it's got to be unique. It's got to be me. You know,
that's the way it should be,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I don't think I've ever owned. I've had 25 vehicles since I'm 25 now, so I'm not saying anything about your age. I know that I won't reveal your age. That's fine. But you might be double my age. You might not. But
I got 2-year-old twins. I'm still making trophies. I ain't that old.
Not saying you're old whatsoever. No, since I was 15 to now. Oh, my camera is done. That's all right. Since I was 15 to now, I've owned 25 vehicles on and off. Some are in junkyards now, so some didn't make it. But every single one of them has had to have that special touch to it that I just some sort of personalization. I even had a 97 Honda Accord that was my brother's, and I was actually in Winder. I hydroplaned and rear-ended somebody and put the hood up into a little curl like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, somebody's, he got a different vehicle. He's like, you can just have that one. And even that one, I got a different hood. Went to a junkyard, got a hood, sanded it down, had it color matched, lowered it, cut the muffler off, and then went to an auction and sold it. But even that, I had to
You got to
lower
express
it.
yourself a little
I was
bit.
like,
Yeah.
even though I was gonna I don't know why. I went a little above and beyond. But I've always, without a doubt, I think it's in our nature as car guys that
Absolutely.
we have to have something that's a little bit more personal and not, you don't want to look like everybody else. Now you have several cars that not a lot of other people have, so you can kind of get away with less modifications maybe on the Lambo. You don't have to go nuts with it to get to a personal level.
Yeah. Well, I've already started out. I bought it. It was wrapped, but now I've already put my front spoiler on, my rear wing. I've got side skirts on the way, and we're looking forward to changing the exhaust on it, having an upgraded sound system.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. I mean, you're right. At my age, it's a lot more practical car for me than that McLaren was, having to go head first with those dihedral doors. They look really cool, and people are amazed when you open your door, but it's murder getting in and out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we were on a little bit of a time crunch, but I do appreciate you spending the last, 4 hours, I guess.
I've enjoyed
your
it,
time
man.
with me, and I'm enjoying working with you in the future, I hope. And just looking forward to being able to share your story on your YouTube, my YouTube, and with everybody. Hopefully just being inspiring to those that are, I know a lot of even car guys, it's such a tight-knit community, and there's a lot of people that they're trying to save up to buy their dream car or start their own business or put their name out there and do something. So I feel like all the advice that you've given, people can take to heart and really make something of it, because you've done it. You did it.
Yeah. I mean, I still I wouldn't jump out and just buy a Lambo. I mean, I worked my way up. I paid off this car, went and traded on a McLaren, got the McLaren paid off, and the Tesla, and traded those up to a Lamborghini to make a Lamborghini affordable for me.
Yeah.
I still ain't that rich guy. I'm still a working guy. If I don't go to work, I don't eat.
Yeah.
But it just made it within reach. It took a dream and made it into a goal. I remember that dream was ignited when I saw Cannonball Run and Catherine Bach, and I think it was Farrah Fawcett, somebody get out of the Lambo, and ever since then it's been Lamborghini.
I love the Cannonball Run.
Yeah.
That's definitely something. Actually, you probably have a couple of vehicles that would probably be decent for the Cannonball Run right now.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to do that, I would love to, not even to try to beat the world record, but just to do it for the experience. I would love to do the Cannonball Run at some point in my life. At least once. I feel like that's a bucket list thing.
Yep. I would like to do it. I want to do one of the supercar rallies soon.
Oh, that would be awesome.
We'll go from town to town and hundreds of supercars.
Cool.
Just go and stay in hotels overnight and
that doesn't attract any attention.
Yeah.
100 Lambos with a bunch of people that are trying to whoa, but everybody's revving and going fast. And
Yeah, I'll be the one guy that's not going that fast because I still got to be able to afford insurance to be able to drive them.
that's right. Yeah.
Unless y'all help us get this YouTube channel going. Then.
Hey, there we go.
We'll pay some speeding tickets in.
Yeah. We'll try to get pulled over.
Just for content.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a tax write-off.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I like it. But no, Shane, I really appreciate it. Such a cool experience, and I think it's just the beginning of something cool that we got going on.
I think it is, man.
So,
I didn't do that. Mistakes don't happen. I mean, I think you walked in that day for a reason. And just what you've shown me just today and the little bit of time I've spent with you, I've learned so much, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I look forward to being able to share my experience, you share yours, and I think we can just help grow one another.
Absolutely. Well, please plug your business here and let everybody know where it's at and where they can find you.
It's Agape Ink Tattoos. We're a family-friendly. My 8-year-old's usually the boss on Fridays. He has been his whole life. It's in Winder, Georgia, 669 Atlanta Highway, southeast. Winder, Georgia, you got to put in the southeast or you end up on the other side down by Walmart.
Yeah, that is true.
But
This
we're
county's
full-
got a lot of southeast.
They
You gotta
do.
get the right one.
And it's full custom. We don't have any of that point and pick. You come in with your idea and we create it for you. Our motto is if you can think it, we can ink it.
You'll be doing my next one, no doubt. I got to work on my back. I have one on my back, but I want to start working my way through my back and get it done.
Yep, I've got artists that do every style from American traditional. I personally do a lot of cover-ups. I do it for all the Army people trying to get through MEPS and for plastic surgeons with the mommy makeovers and photorealistic. God really blessed me. That's how I knew I was supposed to go. Nobody taught me, but I've got some on my portfolio. The photograph is laying over half of the tattoo, and you can't tell where one stops and one starts. And then that's what I always was interested in, being able to bring life to something and to be able to do somebody's portrait.
It's not just,
you know.
I mean, you're doing tattoo work, but you're also helping people in which they're trying to either get rid of a bad decision that they made or, people that are trying to change their life a little bit. That's so cool.
Yeah. And we also, just a quick plug, Atlanta Redemption Inc., there's an amazing organization that I'm part of that's out of Atlanta. It's women that have been a sex slave or in the sex industry or something like that, and they've changed their lives. When they reach a certain point, they'll bring them down to me, and I'll do a cover-up for them at no charge, just for the blessing of being able to mark their progress in their life, because that's something that they can wear proudly and get rid of something old, that's a scar on them. As far as their memory or their past.
That's awesome. And what was that one more time?
Atlanta Redemption Inc.
That's awesome. Well, Shane, I really do appreciate it, and I'll be getting my next tattoo by you at some point. I'm saving my pennies for our child that's on the way, but at some point I'll be down there. But such a awesome day. I appreciate it, and thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the opportunity.